Hi, welcome to Total Physical Therapy. My name's Michael. You're watching the Total Physical Therapy video series. Today we're going to talk a little bit about tennis shoes, particularly for the runner. We all love a brand new pair of shoes, and as a runner we're always searching for the best shoe for us. The literature is going to debate that, and the literature over the past 25 years is going to suggest that the marketing of shoes doesn't really hold up to the test when put under the scrutiny of research. So while you ultimately want to find a shoe that's comfortable for you, don't be set on expecting that each of the newest trends is going to fit your foot. So just to talk about the shoe first, we've got an older launch, a launch that's had some running miles on it, that's worn in, that's broken down. We're going to show the difference of that shoe to this year's 2017 launch that has not been worn yet. Are looking at a new shoe is A, pull the inner liner out. So you want to pull this inner liner out, you want to actually lay this down on the floor, place your foot directly onto the liner. This is going to give you an idea of whether the liner is going to completely conform to your foot, is going to be wide enough, is going to be long enough. If you've been running in a particular shoe for a length of time, chances are it's going to be okay, but we still like to check it because from one manufacturer to the next, you're going to have some manufacturing defects. So with your foot flush up against the inner, look at the contours, make sure that your toes are completely within the boundary of the outer and inner aspect of the liner. Make sure that your heel is the same. Make sure that the length of the liner is adequate for the length of your foot. If it's not, we need to check another size. Possibly another shoe that allows for expanded width of the toe box. Next thing we want to do, we want to take your hand, we actually want to rub it through the inside of the shoe. Rub through all aspects of the inner, but specifically along the seams, around the seams of the entire shoe. Look for any type of mis-stitching, raised or elevated stitching. Look for any types of issues with the rest of the inner as well. Feeling for lumps, feeling for raised aspects that you don't feel are uniform with the rest of the shoe. If you can feel them with your hand, your foot is definitely going to feel them with running. We're trying to avoid hot spots here on the bottom aspect of the foot. We want to take the shoe through a series of tests. The first test that we like to do is called the rock test. So the rock test is kind of twofold. And basically what we want to do is we want to grasp just right up above the midsole, back on the heel counter. And what we want to do is we want to take and apply a little bit of downward load, downward pressure down through the shoe. Now this tabletop surface has a little bit of give, but ideally you would like to have the shoe on the floor, maybe on the shoe box itself to provide a rigid support. So what we're going to do is we're going to press downward into the shoe. We're going to press with a mild force, and then we're simply going to rock the shoe from side to side. So as I press down through the shoe and rock from side to side, I see that it has good stability from the middle of the shoe to the outer aspect of the shoe. What we're looking for is we're looking for excessive rocking like this. Okay. Again, as stated before in the beginning of the video, this shoe is a couple years old. It's had quite a few miles. The heel is actually worn in, it's worn down. We wouldn't want to actually run in this shoe because it does have quite a bit of medial and lateral give to the shoe. We wanted to do the same type of test to the rest of the heel counter, so we want to grasp up further on the heel counter. We want to stabilize the forefoot of the shoe up here. Press down lightly through the heel counter and shift the heel counter back. And what you're going to see is, regardless of the wear of the actual middle sole and outer sole, we're going to get give through the heel counter. Again, excessive give in the heel counter is going to increase the likelihood that you're getting excessive play in your foot as well. Although no shoe has been proven to eliminate all movement of the foot, we still have to account for this little bit of play here in this shoe. We'll take a look at the new, brand new shoe. We'll apply a little bit of downward load, again grasping high up on the heel counter. we're going to shift from side to side, and we don't get as much play in this shoe. Again, from one shoe maker to the next, you're going to feel different stiffnesses of this heel counter. We like a pretty firm heel counter back here. There is a lot of movement in the human foot. We want to try the brake test. To perform the brake test, you want to take the shoe on the toe as well as on the heel. Apply a mild pressure inward. Okay, I'm applying a mild pressure inward. We're looking for two things here. Number one, first and foremost, right here across this aspect of the shoe, referred to as the toe box of the shoe, we want that break of the shoe to occur in the toe box, and in this shoe it does. But what we also get is we get some excessive bend. That excessive bend is coming from the fact that this midsole is worn down beyond what we would feel comfortable running in. So even applying a little bit more pressure, we can easily take this shoe and fold this over. You're going to be able to do this with a lot of minimalist shoes, and this type of stability is not adequate for the stresses that running is going to put on the foot. Again, if we take the new shoe, we apply the same load to the toe and the heel of the shoe, an inner compressive force. We're going to see that this shoe is breaking right here in the toe box, as it should, but as you can see with the same amount of force that I'm applying to this shoe, we just simply don't have the same degree of break. Now I can make this sole break, but for all intents and purposes, a new shoe is going to have some give in it. It's not going to have as much give as this one. Okay, so that's the break test. If you actually see that the shoe breaks further up, as in through the mid-foot, absolutely throw that shoe away. There's no stability to be gained from that shoe. It's trash, and we wouldn't recommend wearing that outside of the store. Similar to the brake test is the tilt test, and what we want to do is we want to take the shoe and we want to spin it. So we want to spin the shoe in and out. So we are applying an opposing rotary force to the shoe. Again, we're looking for that rotation to primarily occur in the toe box. We want the toe box to be where all of this movement is, very minimal movement through the midfoot, and we also want to feel that there's good rigidity. There's good rigidity of this sole. There's not a lot of spin to it. We take the 2-year-old or maybe 3-year-old launch here and we actually rotate with the same amount of force. We're going to see that there's a lot more give in that shoe. We're able to take this sole and twist it quite easily. Again, this shoe has run its course. Its running miles are done. Maybe a good lawn mowing shoe. Next thing we want to do is we want to perform a couple pull tests. For the pull test, what we want to do is we want to actually grasp the midsole. We want to grasp the upper of the shoe, and we want to start to look around the seam where the upper meets the midsole, and we just want to start pulling. So you can apply an ample force. We're going all the way along the shoe. If you have to unlace it to get inside of the tongue and pull up on the toe box or on the toes, do it, because you want to make sure that that adhesive is uniform across the entire aspect of the shoe. Another good inspection for the pull test is to come along the outer sole, look at its adhesion with the midsole, start flicking it away. At any point along the outer aspect of that outer sole that you can peel that away from the midsole, we want to get another shoe. Have them bring another one out from the back and check and see if that was a manufacturing defect or just particularly in that line of development. So again, you want good adhesion of the adhesive of the upper with the midsole and the adhesive of the between the midsole as well as the outer sole. So that's the pull test. Another good test, it takes a little bit of practice, a little bit of experience looking at the symmetry of the heel counter, but what we want to do is we want to put a straight edge up against the heel counter. If you're in, sorry, we forgot our straight edge. So if you're in a store, one of the best straight edges to use is the actual shoebox itself. So with the symmetry, what we're trying to do is we're trying to bisect or divide the heel counter in two. So if we take the shoe box, and we perfectly divide the heel. As we look up the 90-degree edge right here, we're going to see that the apex, or the very top of the heel counter, lies very close, if not completely in line with this straight edge. If there's asymmetry to the shoe, you're going to find that the heel counter is actually deviated. So in this shoe, because there is good symmetry, we actually have to fabricate this. And so we would see that more than half of the heel counter is missing, or more than half of it is exposed this way when the sole lays flat. So that's just looking for symmetry. It takes a little bit of experience looking at that and trying to decide whether that heel counter is perfectly laid with the sole of the shoe. So there you go. There's a few tests that we recommend when looking for a new running shoe. Again, the last 25 years of research is going to suggest that there is no perfect shoe for each and every individual, and even from year to year, as many runners experience, there's a little bit of shift, a little bit of variation, even within the same model of shoe. So if you find a shoe, if you are an experienced runner and you don't have many injuries, go with what you know. We don't recommend hunting and pecking for new shoes, looking to try to stay with the trendy stuff. Again, a lot of the marketing trends in shoe wear, it doesn't hold up when put against statistical analysis and research. So steer clear of the trends. Don't worry so much about the shoe. Okay? The shoe is the last thing we want to look at. We want to look at your anatomy. We want to look at your mechanics of running. We want to look at your training habits. We want to look at those three aspects well before we look at your shoes. And in some cases, once we look at all of that and make adaptations to all three of those keys, then if we still have problems, lastly we'll look at the shoe. But if you go into the store with even the slightest understanding of the anatomy of the shoe and how the shoe is going to respond under load, you can perform these few quick tests and hopefully get yourself the next solid pair of running shoes.